friends. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station. This is the Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker, who is not here today. We are her guest host. My name's Daniel Renstrom, and I'm here with Rochelle Jones. We have an exciting show planned for you today, so let's get started.
Yeah.
All right, Rochelle. Right now, I just really wanted to talk about my experience with grief recovery, how I came to meet it. Really, it was Sharon who introduced me to it. Sharon's amazing.
Yeah.
For anybody listening who listens in on the show, you already know Sharon is amazing.
Yes.
I had a lot of issues with, what would you say, abandonment issues because of my adoption. I was given up for adoption when I was a 1-year-old, and I was adopted when I was 4. I still get choked up about it today. And I think it really affected my relationships with friends, with families, even with my parents. I had a real hard time opening up or letting people in to my life out of fear that they wouldn't like what I said, they wouldn't like who I was, and then they would just leave or not be there anymore because they just didn't like me. So that's what brought me to grief recovery. I was so happy that Sharon let me know that that it was okay for me to do grief recovery. I had always thought that, well, I haven't lost a family member. I haven't lost anybody close to me. And when I say lost, I mean nobody has died in my little world,
Right.
And so I thought that's what grief was all about. And I was so happy that Sharon really kind of pulled me in and told me, no, this was for me and it could help me. And it did. It helped me so much. And I don't think I kind of came into it, just like a baby, like an infant. So reading the book, going to each class was like this brand new awakening experience, finding out things about myself that I had never known before. It really was just a truly amazing experience.
Wow.
What about you?
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Daniel. So, can I ask you what does your recovery look like? What do you feel now?
Oh, wow. Honestly, I know it might sound, I don't know how it might sound, but I feel like a brand new person. I feel like I didn't know who I was before grief recovery, honestly.
Yeah.
One of the things I remember telling Sharon several times was that I feel so much more present
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I lived my life before grief recovery. I kind of lived my life from a third person's perspective.
Yeah.
I lived looking at myself from outside, as strange as that might sound, but I didn't feel like I was me in my life. I didn't know who I was. I think one really good example of this is as a child, especially during middle school and high school, when I really started to battle with who I was and where my parents were and why they abandoned me. Even though I had amazing parents that adopted me and they were the best parents a kid could ask for,
Awesome.
I still had that wondering that of what would my life be like
Yeah.
had I still been with my biological parents. And I remember as a kid on my day-to-day life, whether it was with my mom at the grocery store or walking to the bus or walking around, running. I was in cross country in high school, and so we would run off campus and then come back. And there was every now and again that my eyes would just wander around me looking at people. And sometimes I would see a lady and think, is she my mom?
Wow.
Could she be my mom?
Wow.
And I would have these kind of like fantasy daydreams of my biological mom or biological dad are in my area where I grew up, but they're like checking in on me, but never like coming and telling me personally.
Wow.
So that's kind of like that third person experience that I kind of lived my life through, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
I love that. I love what you're saying is that you didn't realize grief recovery could work for you for that type of situation as well.
Right.
I love that you're saying that. That's so true. I think you're not alone in that. I didn't know what it was. I don't know that I ever thought deeply about it until I woke up, which actually today, I think it's so strange that we are here on Sharon's show today. Some years ago, my father, the first phone call I received, it was 6:50 in the morning that my father had shot himself. And that was how I ended up finding grief recovery. I was
Oh,
down.
wow.
And similar to what you'd said, I used to be an ICU nurse with the Air Force. I used to, I'd lived a lot of life, but nothing had prepared me for what the heck do you do when when the rug is not just taken out from under your feet, but then starts hitting you and just knocking you around. I mean, nobody ever told me what to do with that. So I went through the week. No, I'm fine. I'm good. It's okay. No, I'm fine. I'm good. I remember going to therapy way back when when my first child was born, and I only knew I'm fine or I'm good. And she gave me a list of words that I could use to describe myself
Oh,
because all I knew was I'm fine, I'm good. I mean,
yeah.
I thought I could win awards probably with the way I said, I'm fine, I'm good. Look at me, I'm doing it. I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
But this time I was down and I was sad and I was hurting. Why didn't he love me? But I didn't love him, but why was he so sad? Oh my gosh, he must have been devastated. What kind of person am I that I didn't reach out because he wasn't in my life every day? He wasn't in my life, but maybe once every other year. I had been adopted too. And so he wasn't a part of my daily life. But I remember this yearning, this feeling for him. So when he died, all that died with him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to live with that. So when I looked for how do I feel better, I called Sharon as well. We all just call Sharon. And
It's true.
it was fantastic. That class, I remember going in that first class and just having permission to feel, permission to say that I'm not okay. And I don't know how to get back up. In fact, I'm so low. I think sometimes I would picture myself driving off an overpass with my kids in the car
Oh,
so they wouldn't have to live without a mom the way I was living without a dad and feel that kind of pain.
wow.
I went through that a lot. And that was that quiet pain I would keep hidden. So once I reached out to Sharon, I went through her 8-week class and I woke up to. It's funny how you say I was aware in third grade that I was an observer of my life. I was aware of it. I didn't know how to penetrate into friendships and
Yeah.
circles. I'd change schools every year, and so it was always
Oh,
new,
wow.
and I didn't know how to insert myself. And I was aware of that, and so I feel as though, as crazy as it sounds, being recovered, being able to touch my life and be a part of it, and not just be a part of it, be very aware, and now share it with others, is a big deal because I was so, I don't know, on this day to be a specialist who helps other people touch their life and recover and feel better and be able to not only just experience their memories, but to sit with them and watch them and touch them in a way that I wasn't able to do in the moment. And to have that gift on this day of the anniversary, which I'm not even aware of, I have to look at the calendar,
Yeah.
is powerful. That's what grief recovery, that's how I found it, was through Sharon, and that's what my recovery looks like. It's just been really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you take yourself from your story and what brought you to Sharon and, dude, I've got to be a specialist. I got to take this forward. How'd you get there?
Honestly, I feel like we're going to be bringing up Sharon's name a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
She told me near the end of the 8 weeks, I don't know if it's seventh or eighth week, she's like, you would be so good at this. And it made me happy to hear that from her. She had to tell me several more times after that 8 weeks. I mean, it was like a few months later, and then a few months later after that. And then I remember telling her, yeah, I think I'm going to sign up for it in the fall of, I don't know, I think it was fall of last year.
Mm.
And I didn't end up doing it. And then finally, uh, as the circumstance has it, because I work at Kaiser Permanente and they offer tuition reimbursement,
Yeah.
which was one of my big things. I don't never let money be something that prevents you from doing something
Isn't
that you
that so
love.
true?
Yeah. But I'm so grateful that that was there. So it kind of like it took that out of the picture, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, Kaiser will pay for it. Great. This
Mm.
is wonderful. And now looking back on it, I'm like, even if I had to pay for it for myself, whatever. Like it's such, oh my gosh, the training that you go through is amazing. There's so many more insights that you get, especially with that larger group.
Yeah.
You know, the stories that you hear from others, and I don't know about the teacher that you had in your training, but I think you've done it twice,
Three
right? Three
times.
times. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
So mine was Bobby Rill, and she was amazing. And
Wow.
she has so many years of experience doing this. Um, so she had just all these stories and all these insights into how to reach out to people and
Mm.
um, how many different types of losses there are and the resources that we could go to. You know, there's just books and articles. Because I don't know, I really think that whole thing of grief recovery, and there's I always forget the terms, but I think you know what I'm talking about, like the stages of grief,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
And
By
that's
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
okay. See,
Yeah.
you're good with the names. So that kind of stuff, um that's general knowledge, right? That's general
It's
knowledge
passed
that's out there,
around
right? It's passed
everywhere.
around, and we just kind of use that. We use what's passed down to us, and I think that's the biggest thing with the grief recovery program through the Grief Recovery Institute is that it kind of like just breaks through that and like,
Yeah.
hey, just because we've been doing this for decades, if not a century, doesn't mean that it's right,
Right.
you know? And I think what really hit it for me was finding out why the stages were created,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it was created for a very specific purpose. Do you remember what that
Yeah,
was?
yeah. So she had completed that work, and that was to be applied to people who have received a terminal diagnosis. They're going to be dying
Yeah,
based on whatever disease process they have going on in their life, and the stages are to be applied to them.
right,
And so I love what you're saying about grief recovery does not subscribe to the stages. There are no stages of grief.
right,
I don't know if you recognized in your life. I can see at different times in my life, but specifically with the loss of my father, I could be up and going and fine and whatever, going through all the motions and be on time and get my kids to school. And I would even have dinner on the table and breakfast and all of that. But as soon as they left, because I was one of those who would grieve alone, I would be absolutely devastated and down. And
mm,
grievers can experience all of that
right,
in five
yeah,
seconds. Forget about there's no okay, first step A and then step B, denial, anger, depression. No, sometimes we don't even hit denial.
right,
And so that's the stages they don't fit for grievers.
right,
Grievers are up and down and all over the place,
right,
and it's completely normal and natural
yeah.
to be that way. We just didn't know that.
That
And
was
those stages, boy, they're
right.
passed around like nothing. You can
Mm-hmm.
look on social media and find them
Oh my
everywhere.
gosh, for sure. I think that I love that you have all this knowledge in your brain, because you just talking about those stages. When I read the book and was going through it, that was one of the big
Ah,
awakening moments for me. And not just awakening, I was thrilled. Like I
yeah.
read it and I remember my heart skipping a beat and just being
Oh,
like, "Oh my gosh, this okay, so I'm not weird.
oh,
I'm not strange for not feeling these stages. Okay, I am normal."
yeah, yeah.
And that's huge
Mm-hmm.
because in what you're saying, I think it's very true that a lot of us, if we're brought the stages, right, of grief by a professional,
Right.
how often do we subscribe to it because, oh, well, this is coming from a doctor or a therapist or whoever it might be, somebody
Right.
that we hold in high regard, right?
Yeah.
And then if we hold that person in high regard, we tend to just believe and follow what they say.
Yeah, it's so true. And then when it doesn't apply to us, there are a lot of videos. I listen to a lot of videos and I try to just soak up grief recovery, right? And there I could hear Russell's voice saying, John, James, Russell Friedman, the creators of the program.
Yeah.
So I could hear his voice saying, there's nothing wrong with you. When those things don't start to work and apply, but we start to think that, don't we? If a doctor
Right.
says it, if a reputable source says you should be, you've got these stages, but I'm not falling into the stages, or I'm back and forth and I'm all over and I'm not textbook, there must be something wrong with me. So then I can Google, stay off of Google, the different ideas that can be wrong with you, but I could hear Russell saying, there's nothing wrong with you for feeling normal and natural feelings after something changes. It's the definition of grief, right?
Right.
But also, in grief recovery, there's everything right with you for recognizing, hey, that doesn't fit, so let me go get some more help. Let me just keep searching.
Right.
And hopefully they end up on the doors of grief recovery.
I hope.
But because the stages, they just don't fit, and then they start to beat themselves up. I
Right.
did. There must be something wrong with me.
Yeah.
No, there's everything right with me. I just didn't have the right tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which
Yeah.
is no longer, is it?
Yeah, and I think one of the funniest things to me with the stages of grief was that not only was it created for a very specific, but it was created for somebody who is being told they're going to die because of an illness.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of got applied to, I think for me at least, one of the main things was, oh, if you have a death in the family, okay, now it's applied to you. You're not dying, you're still alive. But this was created for someone, you're being told
Yeah.
you're going to pass away because of this illness. That's
Yeah.
such a very specific
Right.
application.
Totally.
Right?
And I remember learning it in my young days. I was 19 when I went into the Air Force. DABDA, denial, anger, depression, bargaining, or I can't think right now. Anyway,
Right.
if I slow down, I could probably think about it. But the
Well,
point
we should probably
is,
forget it.
Yeah, the point is, I remember learning it way back then, and so to learn many years later, gosh, that doesn't apply. What?
Yeah.
I really had to. That was awesome for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for listening. We're going to be back in a little bit. This is KHTS, Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker.
There are many memorable restaurants in Santa Clarita, but 3 words stand out from the crowd. Mom can cook.
Mamá puede cocinar.
Mom can cook the best Thai food on this side of the planet.
Mama fait la cuisine.
No matter what language you use, Mom Can Cook says it all. Thai food at its finest, all your favorite dishes, and Mom's very own original specialties. Experience it on Soledad by the Canyon Country Post Office.
Mama 요리가 좋으세요?
Mom Can Cook.
Hi, this is Kirk Stinson with Plumbing by Kirk, your hometown plumber. By this time, you should know where all your gas and water shutoff valves are in case of an emergency. If you don't, you should call Plumbing by Kirk. Our friendly staff will be more than happy to set an appointment for one of our technicians to come to your home and clearly mark all your shutoff valve locations. We invite you to visit our website for free plumbing advice at plumbingbykirk.com or give us a call, 263-6519. That's 263-6519.
My dad is the best plumber ever. Plumbing by Kirk.
We host a lot of company events.
KHTS owner Jerry Cerati Goldman.
My first call is always to AV Party Rentals.
AV Party Rentals has everything you need for your company party. Visit their large and beautiful showroom in Newhall and discover how AV Party Rentals can create that extra accent for your company party. No worrying, no stress during setup because their delivery staff is friendly, efficient, and willing to go that extra step to make things easier. On Newhall Avenue and Carl Court, or plan your party online at avparty.com.
My tile is 20 years old and it makes my house look
20 years old.
For quality custom kitchen, bath, and tile, trust the professionals at Southern California Tile.
Hi, I'm Bob of Southern California Tile, and I invite you to come look at the wide selection of tile and stone at our showroom. We offer you personalized one-on-one service and help you see the many beautiful possibilities for improving your home.
Get some style at Southern California Tile.
In Placerita, by the entrance to Masters College.
The big one is back. Circus Vargas, Circus Vargas, Circus Vargas. The biggest big top. He's back in town.
Circus Vargas is back with another amazing new show. Don't miss this swashbuckling circus spectacular, Dreaming of Pirates, Under the Big Top in Santa Clarita at Westfield Valencia Town Center, October 25th through 29th. It's family entertainment at its finest, guaranteed to thrill and enchant children of all ages. Come discover a world of pure circus magic where memories are made and cherished for a lifetime. See death-defying acrobats, daredevils, trapeze artists, jugglers, clowns, motorcycles, and much, much more, all under the big top. Don't miss Circus Vargas's Dreaming of Pirates. Buy your tickets now at circusvargas.com.
The big one is back. Circus Vargas, Circus Vargas, Circus Vargas.
Who says fun is just for weekends? Come live it every day at Skyline, a new kind of master plan community with indoor and outdoor lifestyle amenities perched in the beautiful hills of Santa Clarita with nearly 1,600 acres of open space, also known as your new backyard. Prices start in the mid-500s. Come for our grand opening event November 3rd with live performances, food trucks, craft beer, and model tours. RSVP at lifeatskyline.com. Join us November 3rd and get a taste of life wide open.
Questions about your water bill? SCV Water is available to answer your questions and help you understand your water bill. They can provide the tips and tools you need to use water more efficiently. Visit yourscvwater.com to manage your account and to pay your bill. Their customer service representatives look forward to helping you. That's yourscvwater.com.
For 29 years, the October Classic was the premier short track event on the West Coast. And now it returns to Kern County Raceway, the Bulwark FR October Classic. 2 huge days of racing, October 27th and 28th, featuring 2 of the top touring series in the nation, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West and the Spears Southwest Tour Series. Saturday, you'll see qualifying for both series, a huge on-track autograph session, and the Napa Auto Parts 175 presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame, the K&N Pro Series Championship Race. Then Sunday, it's the Spears Southwest Tour Bulwark FR 175 presented by Coleman Power Sports, plus round 1 of the Super Stock Shootout. It's the biggest race and party of the year at Kern County Raceway, October 27th and 28th. Tickets start at $20, available at kernraceway.com. Free camping all weekend. Don't miss the Bulwark FR October Classic, brought to you by Bulwark FR, Budweiser, Jimberg Ford, and Coors Light.
Your hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This is KHTS, your hometown station, the Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker. My name's Daniel Renstrom, and I'm here with Rochelle Jones.
Yeah.
Rochelle, there was something that you wrote down. I'd love to start with you this time. Is there something that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I wrote down people pleasing. Does that, what I was thinking about is, the way when we have grief, what did I do before I came to grief recovery, right? You learn so much about yourself, but then you also learn recovery. And so something I learned about myself was that I didn't know how to handle things when they hurt me, and I would just usually kind of bury them and stuff them. Right. But when I really look deep, what I can find inside of myself was that I was a people pleaser. I remember learning at about, I think about 5. My sister and I were 4.5 years apart, and people would say, "Oh, you're going to be such a good mommy someday," when they would see how, I was really doting on my sister or wanting to take care of her. And I was aware that, hey, I get good feedback from that. And so as the years passed and different things happened and they hurt, all kinds of things, abuse and abandonment, neglect, you name it, from different fathers. But I was aware again, let's say around 11, that I had a family member who I don't know is a new family member, didn't like me, didn't know how to like me, and that's okay. It didn't feel okay at the time. But I remember thinking, I'll just work harder. If she sees how hard I'm working and how much I'm loving my now baby brother, and she'll love me. And I was aware then that I decided, well, I'll just work really hard and do really well so people will like me. But a step further, I wasn't just looking for people to like me. They also wouldn't really dig in. They wouldn't really know what I was thinking or feeling. It was also a way to protect myself. So I could receive the little bit of love that I knew, but also I could keep it at bay and not really digging in and looking in. So I took that into my adult years, and I became really good at some things. But that was kind of my main secret underlying way to deal with my negative energy without actually dealing with it.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I wanted to touch on STIRBs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. For those that are uninitiated in the grief recovery program, STIRBs is STERB, and that's it, right? Do we just say STIRBs, or is it there's an S? It's short-term energy releasing behaviors. We say behaviors. I guess that behavior is the S at the end. That's why we say STIRBs. Because I'm like, it's just STIRB. But yeah, it's short-term energy releasing behaviors. For myself, I think I didn't realize before grief recovery how many of those behaviors I had. One of mine, I think that was that was my go-to all too often, was daydreaming, fantasy. Huge for me. I would constantly want to be thinking about something else because I didn't like the life that I had. I didn't like being the kid who wasn't with his biological parents.
Yeah.
So I would constantly kind of have this like movie playing in my mind, and I would just go there, and I would go there and completely disconnect from everything around me.
Right.
Once video games came around, I would start playing video games where I can play a character and be that character, and I'm talking, Rochelle, hours upon hours.
Wow.
10 o'clock at night until the morning sun comes up.
Wow.
And just completely just put myself in that character's shoes and just keep playing and playing and playing.
Yeah.
And not so much that gave me enjoyment, but it just helped. It was a way for me to detach from what I was going through.
Which is what a STIRB is, right?
Right.
So just a quick little definition if you don't know. STIRB stands for, like Daniel said, short-term energy relieving behavior. So you've got all this energy going on. Something's hurting you. It doesn't feel good. You've had some kind of experience that doesn't feel good.
Right.
But you don't know what to do with it. And society has then taught us to engage in some kind of behavior to get rid of the energy. Maybe eat. Maybe drink. Well, you just need to go for a drink. You know what? You need to meditate. You need to exercise. Go on a long walk.
Yeah.
And the thing is about STIRBs that Daniel's talking about, they do work. You get to go be in the video game and your mind is somewhere else, right? I get to go be a people pleaser and my mind is somewhere else. My energy is now placed somewhere else. But you know what happens when we stop engaging in that activity? Maybe hours later, when we have a quiet moment, maybe we're sitting on the toilet, maybe we're in the shower, maybe we're on a drive.
Yeah.
Maybe we're, I don't know, trying to study, but our mind won't stay in the book. That grief, that thing that we're trying to avoid, that feeling, it comes back.
Right.
So then we go engage in that short-term energy relieving behavior again.
Yeah.
And so you can really see in a society that teaches, perpetuates the message that we need to go change our energy, whether it's ingesting something or going to expend some new energy, we really just get stuck. And so we become stuck in this cycle of disturbing.
Right.
And it changes.
Yeah.
Oh, there are so many.
Well, yeah. I like what you're saying, that the after that behavior is done, right? You're back, and you said the what is it, the grief or the problem or whatever you were escaping from comes back.
Yeah, it
to
does.
me, it's funny that you say come back, and it comes back because you're actually traveling from wherever you are, right? And then you're coming back to your body, and then it's come back. But
That's a good point.
right?
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, oh, my whole thing of thinking I would live my life as in my childhood, living as from a third person view. Probably because I was always disturbing. I was always just involved in some kind of activity or behavior that allowed me just to not feel the way I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so the way I was feeling was still there, but I wasn't here in my body. I was out here somewhere else.
Just
and then
removed.
Yeah, I removed myself with that behavior.
Right.
And then whenever I came back, it's still there.
Hit by a
It's
truck.
like if you leave home, right? If you're at home and your home's a mess.
Have you been to my house?
A great example right now for, I don't know if the rain or whatnot, but we've had ants show up in the strangest places in our home.
Bummer.
Yeah. And the most recent spot, because, I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old who there's some candy in a jar. And so these ants came in through one of our electrical outlets, and there's just a line going, right? But that's a problem, right? That's an irritation. Who wants ants in your kitchen? I could leave, but the ants are still there.
Yeah.
When I come back, I can leave and go have fun. I can leave and go to a concert. I can leave and go to a baseball game. I can leave and do whatever
Get drunk.
I can do. Yeah. Do whatever I do that makes me feel happy.
Yeah.
Right? But when I come back, it's still
those pesky ants
there.
Yeah.
So I think for me especially, that was a big thing. One of the things that I just thought of when you were speaking just a second ago was ingesting something. For some people it's drugs, for some people it's alcohol, but it can be as simple as a sugary drink.
Oh, for
or
sure.
Sweets. And not just
it can
because
be diet food.
It can be, yeah.
It can be anything.
Right. So it's not only that, but then go back to your childhood. I mean, any of you listening right now, you can go back to your childhood and think about a time where you were feeling bad or you were crying. Maybe your grandma was there. I always think of grandma, right? Your grandma's there, and what did she offer you? A cookie? Some hot
Oreos,
chocolate?
double stuff every time.
There you go.
Darn good.
So you're taught from an early age, or we are taught, aren't we, from an early age, oh, you're feeling bad. I remember watching a movie one time, and it was like a mom and son, and the son was going through a really hard time because dad wasn't there, and she took him out for a milkshake.
Yeah. Right.
So we're taught from an early age, just have this. You will feel better.
Right.
After you have this.
Which we don't really feel better. We feel different.
Right.
But not better. That's why it comes back. You know what I'm thinking would be so cool is we are Facebook Live. So for people to maybe put some of their stirbs or their energy relieving behaviors in the comments, I'd be so curious. What's out there? What are people engaging in?
Yeah.
What do you see?
The one that I wanted to talk to you about that I thought was interesting was hot chocolate.
Oh.
Because somebody had brought up to me recently that they were thinking about hot chocolate.
Oh.
And they were like, I didn't think that was a short-term energy releasing behavior. Because I just like hot chocolate. they told me. They're like, I just like hot chocolate. Like, what's wrong with that, right? And then after a while, they were like, but then I started thinking, when do I drink hot chocolate?
There it is.
And they realized all the different times that they've had hot chocolate, even when it's like in the middle of the summer and it's 110 outside,
Yeah.
they would have hot chocolate.
It was like a hug, something
Yeah.
peaceful.
Right.
In the middle of chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in today's day and age, with access to the internet at our fingertips with our phones, I'm
Yeah.
even thinking back when cell phones just came out.
Mm-hmm.
Before I got my first Nokia
The little bar.
the little bar, where they call it candy bar phone. Before I got that, I remember having a lot of alone time,
Yeah.
right? My only escapes really were video games on my Nintendo, I think. But I spent a lot more time with my brother, a lot more time, I think, playing. We had a billiards table in the house, and we would play that. Or we would go outside and shoot hoops together, or ride our
Yeah.
bikes in the neighborhood together and talk, right?
Yeah.
During all that time. Once the phone came around, I realized I was a lot more involved on the phone.
Yeah.
And once those phones had screens that had apps on them, oh man,
We're done.
Yeah, forget about it, right? I'm
For
involved
sure.
in that all the time, and now I see it all around me.
Yeah.
And I think it really like stems way back. I mean, if you think about, I remember my great grandfather talking about how he would listen to the radio and how that was like just such a big thing for him, right?
Yeah.
Because before that, what did you do? You were bored out of your mind. I'm sure. Like,
Right.
I have no idea, but with nothing, and once radio came along, I'm sure that was a stirb
A new
for them.
stirb. Sure,
It's like,
yeah.
oh,
That
well,
would
here's
make
the
sense.
stirb. Just turn on the radio and listen to the when they would do the story.
Yes.
What were they called? I forgot what they're called, but they would do it was like a theater play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you could all tune in that and just be lost into that story.
Mm-hmm.
And then the TV came along with, I think when TV just came on, it was just a few channels, but then slowly but surely added more and more and more channels, and then the internet, and then I think we're pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
I think the conversation stops there with access to the internet, and it's so easily accessible now, and I think it's just going to get worse from here on
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's really in our face all the time. So how often in a day-to-day in your day-to-day life do you have alone time to actually be with your thoughts, be with your emotions?
Yeah.
It seems like never.
Society's so darn busy. Our schedules are busy. Our kids' schedules are busy. Everyone's packed to the gills. Sometimes that's a stirb too, by the way. Just loading yourself down, having people over, being so busy that you don't have to ever stop and check in with yourself.
Right.
One of the classes that Daniel and I teach is called Helping Children with Loss. And that one's a really neat one because then we get to sit with the adults who are with the kids, teachers, principals, parents, aunts,
Right.
uncles, grandparents, you name it. Whoever has access to children, we sit with you and we help you learn step by step what you're going to do to help your child in your life recover from different losses, right? They go through losses too. Their friends move, their pets die, maybe grandparents move or die, or school changes, teacher changes. They go through a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Their coach changes, the kid's not nice to them, they're bullied. They go through a ton of things. And kids experience grief too. We see a lot of energy in them, but we miss it. Oh, they're just being a kid, right? Go out and ride your bike.
Right.
And so some of these stirbs or some of these things, I'm sorry that I kicked you. Some of these things that we see in kids is going to be interesting too. We see them today as cutting. There's a lot of cutting. We know that's happening.
Yeah.
Just signs that things are hurting kids, right? Biting their nails, twisting their hair, eating, daydreaming, just sleeping more, not sleeping enough, sleep disturbances, eating disturbances, not concentrating in class, not concentrating on their homework, all little things that we see in kids. I know I have one of my children, she chews her nails like they're candy. We bite our cheek. Kids doodle, they get in fights. They've just got excess energy, and then they get labeled, which is a totally different topic. So that helping children with loss is a pretty big deal. I think when we come back, maybe we could talk a little bit about seniors.
Sure.
But then also about this study right here.
Okay.
And we'll see how that goes when we get back.
That sounds great. So you are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, the Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker. We'll be right back.
You just had an accident. You're okay, but worried your car will never look the same. Your vehicle may be the second biggest investment you'll ever make. Give it the care it deserves at Body Shop 661.
Hi, this is Caesar from Body Shop 661. If you had an accident, you get to choose the auto body facility you want. Our full collision repair center works with all vehicles, foreign and domestic, and we handle all insurance companies.
Body Shop 661 off Ruther behind Home Depot.
My name is Marla, and I am a teacher in a local public school system. My husband and I heard about Brain Balance. We were a bit skeptical, of course, but we didn't know what to do. When we went to Brain Balance, they got it. They listened to us from day one. They were asking me questions that our medical provider was not asking us. And this is going to get us somewhere in one place instead of I'm going to have to run to 15 different spots. About 4 weeks into the Brain Balance program, my kid could sit on the couch and just breathe. The teachers immediately started noticing that our kids were calmer. As a teacher and a mom, I would say this is one of the most amazing programs I have seen for children. Our lives right now have dramatically changed because of Brain Balance. My kids, in their own individual ways, received the help that they needed that moved them to a place of balance and harmony.
Give your child the foundation they need to succeed in school. Call Brain Balance or visit brainbalance.com today and find out how you can change the life of your child and your family.
There's a classic diner in town that combines old-fashioned dining with a hip 21st century menu. They call it trendy nostalgia. They call it Kathy's Deli. Kathy's Deli is a classic diner. Homemade jams, freshly baked breads, and even unique flavored coffee creamers made on site. Experience the fresh, new, yet old-fashioned taste of your local hometown diner. Serving traditional and unique breakfast and lunch delights every day from 7 to 3. Kathy's Deli on Lyons Avenue off Wayman Court.
Have you heard about Assistance League Retail Store? For a good time and a great deal and bargains that are an amazing steal, there are friendly volunteers ready to share a smile. So come on in and stay a while. We take donations on gently used goods, and proceeds from our sales stay in the neighborhood. So for a great buy and a special find, come visit our store anytime. Assistance League Resale Store located at 24369 Main Street in downtown Newhall.
Halloween at Real Life Church is the largest family-friendly Halloween event in all of Santa Clarita. Expect to enjoy 2 trunk-or-treat lines filled with candy, an indoor interactive magic show, a wide variety of food vendors, a petting zoo, and much more. Discover why thousands of families make this a tradition every year. The fun begins Saturday, October 27th, 3 to 8 p.m. at Real Life Church. Adults are free and children 17 and under are only $3 each. To purchase your tickets and learn more, visit reallifechurch.org.
You just had an accident. You're okay, but worried your car will never look the same. Your vehicle may be the second biggest investment you'll ever make. Give it the care it deserves at Body Shop 661.
Hi, this is Caesar from Body Shop 661. If you had an accident, you get to choose the auto body facility you want. Our full collision repair center works with all vehicles, foreign and domestic, and we handle all insurance companies.
Body Shop 661 off Ruther behind Home Depot.
KHTS. Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
We're back here at KHTS, your hometown station, the Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker. My name again is Daniel Renstrom, and I'm here with Rochelle Jones. Why don't we talk a little bit about confidentiality and also talking with Grandma and Grandpa?
Yeah.
Right? I think one of the biggest things, at least for me, going through the program, was that safe place to be able to just say everything. And that's one of the things as a specialist teaching the class, that we tell our students over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Is that this is a safe place, and it's important that everything that we say here, that you don't say it outside. It stays here, because that gives you so much freedom to be able to finally let all these things out that you were feeling, right? And I think that kind of ties in with our seniors as well, because they've lived a lifetime. I can't imagine myself. I'm 38.
Yeah.
I can't imagine another 38 years. What is going to be inside of that 38 years? How much stuff in my life is going to happen? And how much stuff is going to happen where I've just kind of held it in and not said anything?
Yeah.
You know, there's got to be so many stories and so much there that they want to share.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably, I'd imagine, I know for myself how scary it was for me. So I was thinking about my grandfather. So I was with him some months ago, and he doesn't really remember much of anything, right? But this particular day I was with him, and I was just asking him a bunch of questions, not to be taken out, but just so he could share what was it like for him in his heyday? What does he remember?
Right.
Tell me about your friends. What was your childhood like?
Yeah.
And just asking him questions so he could talk and share. Something about that he did feel safe enough to go ahead and talk about. But the next day, when he doesn't even remember, I get a text from someone. Your grandfather said you're the nicest person he knows. Now, I clearly am not the nicest person he knows, but that's how he was feeling in that moment. It just to be able to talk and share a piece of his story, and I was interested and engaged.
Right.
What a gift that is. And to know that I know I'm not taking that anywhere. And so I even feel myself like I'm giving a gift to people because of that confidentiality thing.
Right.
And then I know that in our work, for them to feel safe to share it is huge.
And I think what you hit on with, you were interested, right?
Yeah.
That somebody's interested in knowing about me. That had to be one of the biggest uplifting moments with my experience with Sharon. Was every time I met with her for each class, was her just body language, everything was showing and telling me, I want to hear what you have to say today.
For sure. For sure. So true. And you know what I just thought of too as you're talking? My husband, I went to grief recovery with Sharon I just kept going back. I couldn't get enough. I still go to Sharon, and my husband does as well.
Yeah.
And who's also a specialist too. And you know what's so neat is I can do my work and be honest with where I am in my marriage, which is not always beautiful and wonderful, but my husband can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I know she's not taking my story to him, and he's not taking, there's not any back and forth.
Right.
So we can be safe to really get to the point of where we need to be for recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it saves my marriage constantly.
Gosh, there's so much to talk about here.
Yeah.
I really wish we had so much more time. We were just talking about that earlier. I wish this was like a 2-hour segment, because there's just so much to cover.
All day.
Anybody listening right now, remember, we are always Facebook Live, and you can also call in, I believe, as well. So just please send us your comments, your questions, your thoughts, and we will do our best to answer any questions and to just chat with you on whatever you're wanting to chat about. One of the things I think that's really big is with the confidentiality. We're in a world right now where with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, with our online presence, where that I think it's discussed a lot, but we still do it, is we put on this persona, this second face, right? We have our online person. This is my online persona. It's always happy. It's always go-getting. It's always this. It's always that. So we're hiding behind that, right? And then we can get stuck doing that. And then our confidentiality, we have nowhere to turn.
So true.
Right?
So true. Yeah, I love it. Daniel, how can they reach you?
They can reach me at 818-309-5121 or at danny.renstrom@gmail.com, or just try and find me on any social media.
Awesome.
And you?
I've got an office on Lyons in Peachland. I can be reached at 661-400-9067.
All right. So we'll see you back here next week. We loved having you. Goodbye.
Men, are you feeling tired, stressed?